The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 11 just aired early on AMC Plus, and it's another episode that makes me greatly depressed that the show is ending officially, because it's another great episode, and it's another great plot, and it's the most invested that I've been in the show in a very long time. Like, I actually thought about it. Like, as this episode ended, I sat there for a moment, and I thought about it. And to make sure that I meant it when I say this is genuinely the most I've enjoyed The Walking Dead consistently since, I think, season 6. I'm genuinely invested in every single thing that's going on right now. Every single plot going on, every single character arc, every single location, Maggie, Daryl, Eugene, what's going on in the Commonwealth, what's happening within the Commonwealth, what's happening with the Commonwealth and Alexandria together, and everything within that. Even like new characters in the Commonwealth that we just met recently. I'm incredibly invested in them. Hornsby, for example. Hornsby is a huge part of this episode, and I still don't know what to think of him, because first appearance, just looking at him, yeah, he kind of looks like a scumbag. He kind of looks like a used car salesman and a drug dealer all mixed together. But his actions haven't necessarily been bad yet. Like, he arrests someone in this episode who is apparently abusing their workers. And he's helping out Carol, and he's helped out Eugene, and he's helped out our group of survivors countless times now. He hasn't really done anything to warrant being considered a bad guy yet. But my brain, my mind is telling me that's just a facade. I think he's a really good manipulator, and I think he's playing the long game. And I have a feeling he's going to take a turn for the worst very soon. But regardless, I love his character, and the actor portraying him is doing a phenomenal job. But this episode is cut into 3 different plots. First, we have Carol, and she's tagged along with Hornsby as Hornsby goes to make a deal with a group that's not officially part of the Commonwealth. They make like drugs, and he brings it back to the Commonwealth to use for medicine in the hospitals. And while he's there, like I said, he finds out that the leader is abusing his workers, so he arrests him. That's cool. And of course, Carol is helping out Hornsby a lot because she wants faster medical help for Ezekiel. And then the third plot we have is Connie, as she's doing investigative journalism to see what's going on with Tyler. That's his name, Tyler, some last name that I forget. And because if you remember last episode, he's the former soldier who went berserk and held a knife to someone's throat, and she sees that there's more to the story than meets the eye, and she's trying really hard to get to the bottom of it. And this is where my one critique comes in for the show so far as a whole. And I mentioned this previously, but I'm going to say it again. I don't fully buy that our main group of survivors are this committed to this society and their roles in this society as they seem. Like, for example, Connie is trying to get to the bottom of this story simply because, as I interpreted it, because that's just who she is. She's a journalist. She was an investigative journalist before the apocalypse. That's in her blood. That's what she likes to do, so that's what she's doing. And Kelly even sort of says something similar. She says the only reason that you want to know is because it's a secret. And it doesn't just end with her. Like, for example, Rosita is just part of the CRM, part of the Commonwealth military now, or police force, or whatever you want to call them. And she seems to be genuinely invested in her role. Like last episode where she's talking to Magna, and this episode where she's sort of investigating Stephanie's disappearance, which I'll get into that later. And now granted, you could say she's so invested in that because it's for Eugene, and Eugene's like one of her best friends ever, but still, it just seems that they're a bit too committed just for the sake of being committed. And what I would do differently is I would have Connie be doing the exact same thing that she's doing, but instead of just doing it because that's who she is, she was doing it to make sure that the place is safe for her group, because she's lived in the world so long, she's lived and she's gone from group to group, that she knows that there's always something wrong with every group and everything falls, and she's doing it to make sure that, again, the place is safe for her friends. That would make more sense to me than what they're leading us to believe is her motivation, which is simply just to get to the bottom of it. Now, I might be wrong, and they might shift it a little bit, and I hope I am, but it's just a slight flaw. Still absolutely love the season overall so far. And then the last plot we get this episode, which takes up the majority of the runtime, is something really cool, and that's Eugene is like in bed with Stephanie. He finally loses his V card. He shows her his novel he's been working on, and it's a really sweet scene. And then he goes to get ice cream with her, and then she never shows up and she goes missing. And this whole episode pretty much is Eugene becoming an alcoholic while simultaneously becoming his own private investigator, trying to search for the disappearance of Stephanie and find out what's wrong. He interrogates people. He goes crazy. He has like a bulletin board with all these connecting pieces, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And it just shifts the tone so much. And that's what I love about The Walking Dead. Not just this episode specifically, but pretty much every episode of The Walking Dead is every single episode is distinctively different while simultaneously feeling like part of the same show. Like, for example, if you're talking to a fellow Walking Dead fan, you can say, like, the episode where this happens, and everyone knows what you're talking about. Like, this is now the episode where Eugene becomes a private investigator. And then, obviously, there's, like, the episode where the governor meets a family, or the episode where Tyrese goes crazy after getting bitten, or, like, the episode where they go to a church and meet Gabriel. Every episode just feels unique and distinctively different, which isn't necessarily the case for most other shows, especially like my favorite shows. And again, I'm not saying that's a flaw to other shows, but it's just a difference, and I like that difference for The Walking Dead. But this episode ends with Eugene finding a building, and he goes into it, and he gets attacked by Stephanie, and he finds out that Stephanie is not really Stephanie, and that Hornsby was behind everything, that he manipulated Eugene this entire time. He got Eugene to go there. He got Eugene and his group to join the Commonwealth. He got Eugene to give up his friends and where his communities are located. This whole time, this whole plot line, ever since the end of season 10, has been, or season 9 technically, I think? Yeah, season 9 has just been Eugene being played and manipulated by Hornsby. And I like this a lot, and I love this a lot, and I feel really bad for Eugene. And there was a few minutes in this episode where I legitimately thought Eugene was going to die. I thought this was going to be his final on-screen appearance. And it wasn't, and that was another surprise for this show, and another surprise for Hornsby as a character. Because Hornsby could have killed Eugene and kept his secret a secret, but he chose not to. And a lot of people could interpret this as Hornsby being genuinely a good guy, which might be the case, and that he's not killing Eugene. And yeah, he manipulated him, but he had to in his own weird, fucked up way. And but he's not doing anything bad that he doesn't have to do. I don't interpret it that way, though. I interpret it as Hornsby still sees Eugene as a pawn to be manipulated. He's playing the incredibly long game, and that's just the vibes that I'm getting. And I'll probably love either plotline. I'll be happy either way. This episode ends, though, with the real Stephanie introducing herself to Eugene just as he's burning his novel. And I'm curious about what's going on. Like, why is she just coming out of the shadows now? Is it truly the real Stephanie? Or is this just another person that Hornsby's sending on Eugene just to try and do the exact same thing again? I doubt it, but I'm so invested in this plotline. Like, you have no idea. Like, I genuinely cannot wait for the next episode, and I haven't felt that way in a long time. And I know I said at the beginning of this, and I'm going to say it again now. This is the most that I've loved The Walking Dead consistently since season 6. And I mean everything about it. Like, I've loved The Walking Dead since season 6. Obviously, I'm a diehard fan, but like, I find things to love amongst the things that I don't personally care about that much. That's not the case this season. This season, I'm invested in every single thing. Another takeaway from this episode is Princess. I absolutely love Princess. I thought she was kind of annoying when she was introduced, and I get that was the point of her character. But I wasn't sure how much that I would come to like Princess. I thought I would just come to tolerate her. But now I think she's officially one of my favorite supporting characters. And a supporting character she is because she genuinely supports Eugene emotionally and literally, like, helping him break into apartment buildings and stuff. And I love it. I like it. I'm just sad we won't get more of her unless she joins one of the spin-off shows. But anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you want more Walking Dead videos. I'm going to talk about every single episode of The Walking Dead, every single episode of Fear the Walking Dead. I'm going to do ranking videos, discussion videos, theory videos. So make sure you just subscribe if you like The Walking Dead. And this is the first video like this on this channel. But if you want to see me talk about past episodes, make sure you check out the Bloody Pulp page. Link in the description. I've talked about every episode of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead and World Beyond for over a year now on that channel, so make sure you check that out. And make sure you subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it.